At a time when the administration seems unwilling to subject its war strategy to oversight by the Congress, we face the widespread use of private forces seemingly accountable to no effective system of oversight or law. While tens of thousands of these contractors provide logistical support services for the military, thousands are heavily armed private soldiers roaming around.
Ayo, from the beginning to the end, speak the truth, never pretend. From poverty-stricken places to the hell where we descend. From soldiers that defend the false promises of a friend. From the nation that deceives the courtesy that it extends. Profiteering war machines, propagated horror scenes. Privatizing armies, taking up the call for more Marines. Mercenaries overseas, fighting wars for coca leaves. Governments and corporations acting like the local thieves. Taking jobs away from people who are already on their knees, so they could profit off the country, so weak economies. Starving half the world to death, while the others face neglect. Taking rights away from people who they swore they would protect. Corrupted institutions bring the drugs for distribution. When there's profit to be made, there's no time for a solution. We need a revolution, universal evolution. Before the Mayan calendar predicts our execution. We're living in a time where they manipulate the mind of the people into thinking everything is just fine. We're living in a time where they manipulate the minds of the people into thinking everything is just fine. Situation getting scary, people getting killed and buried. Get away with murder like a blackwater mercenary. Overseas covert missions to protect the coalition. Contracts to fight wars on behalf of both positions. Getting rich off the commission, selling weapons and munitions to rebel forces ready for the battling conditions. Soldiers in disguise with faces covered in mud, speaking the language of peace that they recovered in blood. The fight of a sovereign nation to deny the occupation that takes over the land and enslaves the population. Poverty for compensation, policy is confrontation. Poverty is taken from the people for accommodation. Fighting wars for territory, justified with terror stories. Saluting bloody flags at the burial ceremony. The land is filled with millions, they plan to bomb the buildings. The place is filled with parents who buried all their children.
There are 48,000 employees of private military companies in Iraq alone. These forces work for U.S. companies like Blackwater, Triple Canopy, and DynCorp, as well as companies from across the globe. Subcontractors make in a month what many active duty soldiers make in a year. Indeed, there are private contractors in Iraq who make more.
Just fine. Philosophy, hypocrisy, the way they run democracy. Power of the people given to the aristocracy. Capitalist monopolies take over economies, corrupting everything in sight with their ideologies. Decapitate the monarchy, emancipate the colony, anticipate the activation of ancient astronomy. Raw Dawg is prophecy above the ancient sophistry, buried and excavated by people through archaeology. I'm in the place of poverty where people have no property, and the valley where human labor is a commodity. I live my life honestly, reject the wealth they promise me. Until the end I won't defect to ideology. I give people apology for the human atrocity they will experience if they choose to arm up and follow me. There's no way that you harming me. I'm the rebel with armories, with more slugs than drugs that you find in a pharmacy. We're living in a time where they manipulate the mind of the people into thinking everything is just fine. We're living in a time where they manipulate the minds of the people into thinking everything is just fine. We're living in a time where they manipulate the minds of the people into thinking everything is just fine. We're living in a time where they manipulate the minds of the people into thinking everything is just fine.
Or something is fundamentally wrong with the system. Brigadier General Karl Horst of the 1st Infantry Division became so outraged by contractor unaccountability that he began tracking contractor violence in Baghdad. In just 2 months, General Horst documented 12 cases of contractors shooting at civilians.